Hey, what's up, everyone on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch? We're live tonight for Shoot the Shit Saturday. It's been an interesting week in the world of professional wrestling, and without further ado, let's get to discussing some of this stuff. And at this time, the first person to join me in the studio, as always, this guy right here is. It seems like as soon as you go online, he's right there. He's like Mr. Jeeves. So you remember that show there where the butler just comes up right behind you with Adam Sandler? Well, this man puts him to shame. Without further ado, let's bring in to you Mr. AJP, Adam Jack Pelly. No longer bedridden Sam. He is back on the sidewalk. Sidewalk Sam, how you doing tonight?
What's up, brother? How are you?
Everything's going great, man.
Yeah. I gotta give kudos to your kid back there. She's learning how to ride a bike. She's doing okay.
That's right. So, did you watch much wrestling this week?
I did. I caught as much as I could. I thought the wrestling itself on television was okay, great, but very baffled with some of these releases.
Yes, we're going to talk that. Without further ado, let's bring in the man, the myth, the legend, the stiffest man on the independent professional wrestling scene, as far as I'm concerned. The man, the myth, the legend, the APOC. Stiff Mike, baby. What's going on, Mike? How's things going?
I'm all right.
Having a better week this week?
Yeah, I'm a little bit better.
Good to hear. So, we've had a busy week of pro wrestling, my man. And
yeah,
I think we'll get into the cuts and all that stuff in a few minutes.
It's been a busy week of clowns running their mouths on
there's clowns everywhere, unfortunately, Mike. And the more we call them clowns,
it's
it
getting
seems like they get worse.
Yeah, it's getting a little monotonous now. I mean, I'll make this statement as I made last week that we are trying to make this a legitimate podcast, and we got morons that have no clue talking. Sorry.
What would one of them comments be that's really nerving you?
It's just the whole release thing, and with Fingers running his mouth saying that about Cross and about Keith. I agree about Keith Lee. They messed up with Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Cross got exposed for what he is. The shits. After he got exposed by Adam Cole and then Gargano, and then the rest of them in that five-way match, he was doomed. Doomed from out the rip.
Without further ado, let's bring in, we'll just call him the Pink Cat himself. But although he's into the Bruins, and the Bruins don't have no Pink Catters unless it's playoff season, but the devout Boston Bruins fan himself, a.k.a., let's just call him Fingers.
Mike, what do you mean running your mouth about Cross? First of all, yeah, okay, you call him the shits, but his presentation was entertaining. He had with Scarlett, the smoke.
I agree with that. I totally agree with that. But once he got exposed by Cole, once he got exposed by Gargano, he got exposed in that five-way match. McMahon didn't like him anymore, so they put the screws to him. He's not good. He's not good, dude. He's not.
They tried to on the main roster. They tried to reinvent him somehow.
So yeah, they should have done that.
And
they never should have done that.
Do it.
Right. They should have left it alone. I agree. They should have put Scarlett with him. When he came into NXT, him and Scarlett, I was all on board. It was a great gimmick. And then he got exposed, and that rubbed people the wrong way.
He got exposed in that promo. Is that what you're talking about?
The promo in the five-way match. If you go back and watch that five-way match, he was never in the ring. It was all the little guys. And what he did do, they exposed them. As much as they said they wanted to protect him and build him up, they really didn't. And Cole blew him out of the water with that promo.
Without a doubt. But like, okay,
I'm just sick and tired of hearing my source is this, and then I'm not saying it's you. You know who I'm talking about.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Dude, I've been in a bad mood for a couple of weeks, so I apologize if you're catching the brunt of it. But
Mike, I'm not catching any. Like, we're cool. We're fine. We're always going to be cool. I mean, I tried to be as professional about what I've been saying over the past couple of days. I mean, it comes down to this.
I 100% agree with you with Keith Lee. They dropped the ball with Keith Lee. That man is phenomenal in the ring for being 340 pounds. He is, without a doubt, 100% could have been a top talent in the WWE. They dropped the ball with him.
Could they do with him like they did with Samoa Joe and catch him back in NXT and let him? Because I think Ciampa needs a guy like Keith Lee to run a program with.
Rumors are there's much heat between him and McMahon.
Yeah, I would think that Keith Lee is fucking had enough.
Yeah, he's had from what I understand and from what I've read, and I've also read it's got something to do with not being vaccinated as well. There's a few people that got let go because of that.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if that's 100% sure or not. I know Nia Jax came out and said that's not the case. She was looking for more time off. They didn't want to give it to her, so they cut her. So, but
Scarlett never even got a taste of the
no, she should have. I really like when he lost to Jeff Hardy in like 5.3 whatever minutes. He was done.
None of us were happy about that.
Nope, he was done. He was done. He just down spiraled after that. That stupid mask and that stupid outfit they put him in.
Demolition 2020.
21.
I'm at a loss because I mean Keith Lee was a supreme talent. I saw so much like that you could have done.
The two releases that baffle me is one's Keith Lee. Nia Jax.
I know.
I don't know. Like
Ember Moon.
Yeah, that baffles me too. That baffles me too.
Listen, I'll add this in and I'll say it. The WWE, like I put the other day, they have upwards of 100 talents that are signed under contract that haven't even made debuts. We haven't even seen them. They work out on a daily basis in the Performance Center, and Vince continues to pay their checks. And what people have to theoretically understand is that there's not as many house shows. NXT themselves is not touring. Nope. So the way to utilize these talents are nullified. And I put up, I don't know who it was, but there was a back and forth that I stole online, and I thought the guy was perfect on the way that he assessed things. That the time that you utilize a Keith Lee and a Karrion Kross right now on WWE TV, you can get the same thing out of a Duke Johnson and other guys that they're just. I truly believe I can see this theoretically coming through. Is that Vince sees things and the WWE sees things in a different light than any other company, and I believe he's keeping his what can be 2 years worth of studs at the top, where you got Roman, you got Lashley, you got Lesnar, you have Big E, you got Seth Rollins, you got Randy Orton.
But Lesnar's not going to be on for another 3 months.
And then
I know you're talking about rotating in the platoon players,
rotating the top guys, and everybody else falls is a strong mid card. And the reason being is they have to. Every company out there has to wait till the theoretical economy can come back in order to support the payroll. As much as now, hold up, please. Let me finish.
Let him finish.
Sorry.
I understand that they're making records amounts of money. Records. Capelli, we add you to the stream. Just let me finish. They're making records amounts of money right now. Okay. And the perfect sense is, in order to invest money to make money, you need money. Okay. Number one, every company needs that money. And with that being said, that company needs to make that excess in order to pay for the huge amount of people they have under contract. And unfortunately, we have to have them cuts. It's just there's just not enough money theoretically to suffice what needs to go down. And therefore, that's why these cuts are generated.
And to add to that, Rumble, the last quarter, they were making pre-pandemic money. The last quarter, that one they're going back to pre-pandemic revenue. The WWE, they're making more money than they did pre-pandemic right now, and that is, of course, to what you're saying. The cuts they're making and the money they're saving with those cuts. I totally agree with you, Rumble. At the end of the day, pro wrestling is about one thing. And that's selling tickets. If you're not selling tickets, you're not wrestling. And Vince McMahon,
what's your take on it?
My take on the whole situation is a couple things. Number one, and I can tell you right now, part of the issue is, and this is a statement that came from the WWE that people from backstage have said, that Vince has 50 to 60 characters or wrestlers that are young, undeveloped, and that's his direction for the future. And he needs money to be able to promote them. And he does not want to promote people that are older or aren't getting the, I don't know, what you want to call the right rub or the right push or the right look. You know, at the end of the day, that's Vince's fault. People forget that Karrion Kross is Vince's fault. Keith Lee is Vince's fault. Not just Vince. Vince, Kevin Dunn, Bruce Pritchard, and Johnny Ace. Because at the end of the day, Vince looks at professional wrestling like it's a fucking circus. Always, he's gone back. He's gone back to the, let's treat it like a circus. Let's treat it like a big top show. And that's the end of it. And unfortunately, that's what it's becoming. Understand something. NXT is going to have cuts every 6 months. That has come out from people inside. You're going to see big cuts every 6 months. Every 6 months. The reason why you're seeing cuts by these people is because Vince has got to the point where, and I hate to say it, but look at all the people that have been cut. It's all of the people that Triple H brought up. It's all the people that Triple H invested in. The time of most of the people that Triple H said, this is the next guy. In all these NXT stars that were stars in NXT, stars in the indie business that go to Vince. Now, again, not all of them, in my opinion, would have been quality. Like, I like Keith Lee, but I didn't see Keith Lee with an it factor. Like, to me, Keith Lee's not going to sell in main event or WrestleMania. He's not going to put asses in seats. Karrion Kross with Scarlett, I think could have if you had done it right. Yep. I think Karrion Kross had a lot of potential, and I think Scarlett did too.
I think you're absolutely wrong about Keith Lee. The momentum he had what was it?
You can say I'm wrong, but he had his opportunity, and every time I saw him on TV, he never had. He had the it factor in the ring. He didn't have the it factor telling a story. I just didn't see it. I didn't
because Vince changed his wrestling style, man.
Yeah, but even in his promos were not good. We're not that great.
Never thought his promos were all that good. That I'll get you for. But when he came up and
that takes everything right there.
And he aced out those guys in what was it, the Royal Rumble or the whatever, I believe. They had something there. They had something there. But yes, the one thing I'm going to agree with you is he was not captivating on the stick, and you could tell this Bearcat gimmick he was doing, trying to be rough and tough and heelish. That's just not him.
Yeah, it was like watching paint dry, to be honest with you.
And I kind of
You know
agree
what
with
would have worked
Capelli.
well for Keith Lee, and I'll say it. I'll say this much. Well, what would have worked well for Keith Lee is if he was here 20 years ago and it was the Nation of Domination. That would have worked well for Keith. That would have put Keith Lee over.
I think
But
at the right.
Yeah.
What about the Hurt
Ember
business?
Moon.
Let Pelly
Here's the
speak.
problem.
Let Pelly speak.
I agree with Capelli, kind of with Karrion Kross. If they would have gave Karrion Kross the same presentation in WWE that they did with NXT and had Scarlett, he would not have been released the other day.
I agree.
What about the Hurt business, Capelli? That he couldn't have worked there?
The fucking no, because they're a joke. The Hurt business has turned into a joke.
I believe when it was at its height, its best, I think Keith Lee would have fit in perfectly with the Hurt business.
With MVP cutting his promos for him.
Yep, I agree with that.
If the Hurt business had stayed in suits and ties, and it wasn't, and if Cedric, I call him Cedric the Entertainer because, to me it's too much with him. If it was Keith Lee instead of Cedric, it would have been a lot different. But I'm sorry, it's Keith Lee, unfortunately, is a product of his. It's same thing with Malachi Black in the WWE. He didn't have the it factor in the WWE. Now with Malachi Black, Aleister Black, whatever you want to call it, it was more of I think that with him, it was more of they put the handcuffs on him. Now that the handcuffs are off at AEW, he's getting over. Keith Lee, to me, he just doesn't have the promo skill. But then again, that's what WWE is. It's a circus. It's a show. It's not professional wrestling. They don't want professional wrestling like you get in AEW or Impact or Global Force Wrestling or any of these other companies. They want strictly people to make it look like it's Hollywood of professional wrestling. And that's what it is. And that's what it has to be. And it sucks because it's definitely not what we grew up on. Well, maybe it is, but it's not what we wanted anymore. The Attitude Era changed that for us. And I think we all want, a little bit more AEW-esque type of, promo and wrestling and all that with maybe the WWE's ability to really promote. It's just not going to happen. They have... until the day Vince realizes that it's his time to step down and hand the reins to his son-in-law, which he won't do because his son-in-law has an eye for talent. And I also firmly believe that the Johnny Aces, that the Kevin Dunns, and the Bruce Pritchards have a thing against Triple H at this point. And I think that they are challenging for the vying for power. Something I think is coming down the line eventually. And they think that they're going to be, I think if Hunter has his way, those guys are out the fucking door.
Didn't Triple H have something to do with Bruce's firing 10 years ago?
I don't know.
Wouldn't be shocked.
So, Mickey Biggs, what's your take on the two top what we're thinking right now? These are the two top names upon the releases is Keith Lee and Karrion Kross.
Nia Jax has to be added too to that.
Nia Jax, I understand why. And at the same point, her release is kind of bullcrap because if she really is suffering from mental health issues, I think the WWE did her wrong.
Oh, I agree with that. Yep.
I agree.
Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, and I think Nia, sorry, guys, before you jump in and answer that, I just want to add Nia to that conversation because Nia has had all the potential to be the I guess I would say the Brock Lesnar of the women's division. She's big, she's powerful, she's bold, she has the lineage, the family lineage, she has a look. The problem I think that ultimately came down with Nia, and I had read this and I heard this from somebody else in something I was reading and read their thing, and I kind of agreed. She never wanted to be the monster. She still wanted to be the diva. And I think that Nia, I think she kind of mishandled herself. I agree with you, Jay, and I think it should be discussed that the WWE did do her wrong. She did say that she was dealing with mental illness. And very similar to another wrestler that left when he was dealing with mental illness and was let go to budget cuts, Mr. Bray Wyatt. But I just wanted to add it because I think it's 3 really big names that kind of got let go.
So we'll get back. We'll get back into Nia Jax. Mickey, give us your evaluation on these cuts here. What was your what's your observation on this, buddy?
Well, I did read something today online that was talking about Keith Lee saying that he was having an attitude backstage where he shouldn't have been. He was basically going off his rocker because he had to do a couple of jobs. And I mean, if that's what his whole attitude is about, welcome to the world of professional wrestling. You know, you can't always do what you want to do and be that superstar that you want to be 24/7. Let's face it, not everybody can be a Hulk Hogan, not everybody can be a John Cena, not everybody can be a Brock Lesnar. You know, so if he got released because of that, well, then shame on him. He should have known better. You know, he's been coming up through NXT. He's been being trained by Triple H. He's been being watched by Shawn Michaels. He should know how things work. So, and I also read online where he had responded to a fan and was talking about how they said something about him coming up with the Bearcat gimmick, and he basically put him in their place, saying, "No, that was not me." And apparently, he didn't sound too happy that he was even given that name. So,
you don't think any of his bad attitude had to do with the changing of his music and look or anything like that on top of doing jobs?
Of course it did. Absolutely. Absolutely it did.
It would. You would have to think it'd have to. I mean, look at where Bray Wyatt is right now, and everything is telling you that one of the reasons why Bray isn't where he is because he didn't want to play ball because he was protective of his gimmick, which is how these guys in the WWE make money. So you got to understand, like, if you're going to sell merchandise, you got to have a good gimmick for it, and the gimmick's got to sell, and you have to be given an opportunity on television to make that money and to sell that gimmick. And if you're not being given that opportunity, you know, if you're being written in a way that you're not being promoted, I'd be pissed too.
Well, wasn't Charlotte?
I mean, there's a way to do things, but yeah,
wasn't Diamond Dallas Page said it best.
Drama about them standing up for something they thought was stupid. I mean, isn't that how that all started? The belt exchange, everything like that. Charlotte stood up, said, "Hey, this is stupid."
So I can't wait for
the way Charlotte did it though was wrong. Though I mean,
no, 100%. But like trying to stand up for something that might be dumb. You know what I mean? It's just like, can't you do that? Can't you speak up? Aren't you allowed?
You can if his last name is Flair. But you can't
right, exactly.
Gimmick his name Keith Lee.
Can I tell you something? In the days before the entitled person of these worlds, the kid that gets the appreciation trophy, professional wrestling and/or life, you did what you was told.
That's it, exactly.
Sorry.
And you know, Diamond Dallas Page said it best though a while back. He said you can have the greatest country album, you can have the greatest rap album, you can be the greatest wrestler, but if you don't get that exposure and you don't get that time to show that, you're never going to amount to anything.
HBK used to stand up to Vince all the time.
Well,
yeah, but if you're looking at HBK, I mean, that's HBK.
Yeah, exactly. He knew what he was bringing in for money.
I read this.
What's Keith Lee bringing in for money?
What was Bray Wyatt? What was Bray Wyatt bringing in for money? Come on,
a lot merchandise selling. Yes.
So I read a great article one. I read this great article one time, and it makes you think. And it said the greatest athlete in in most professional sports is the kid who never gets found. It's the kid who does not get found. It has become wasted potential because he didn't get found. Because, you know, in their professional sports and in professional wrestling, sometimes the greatest wrestler, I would say, or the greatest performer is the one that is given up on that we would never know, that we don't know because they didn't get the opportunity. There's got to be, and unfortunately, you know, you look at a company like the WWE and you've got the people who are writing it, and it's really up to Vince, Kevin Dunn, Bruce Pritchard and Johnny Ace to tell us who the quote unquote top stars are and who they're going to push and who's going to sell their merchandise. And if we don't like it, well, fuck you. Don't, it's like, well, fuck you. We're still going to take your money. And that's just the shitty part. I'm going to tell you right now, if I had the money, and I think you guys would agree, this would be the perfect moment to buy Ring of Honor and rebuild it with the talent that's out there.
All right.
There's a lot of talent.
That will be the next. That's the next thing I'm going to throw at you right now.
Okay.
So, Ring of Honor is out there to be sold, and from what I'm told, that tape collection, along with the name of the company, wants to be sold all in one. Do you think that someone like Triple H or maybe even Shane McMahon could come up with this kind of money, and if Vince ain't going to bend over and give them the reins, could this be the company that everybody's talking about, that Triple H goes out and starts on his own?
I'd like to see it, but I don't think.
Yeah. I think that they're governed under the WWE contract. They can't do it. So they have a bigger no-compete clause than 90 days. When you're that big in a company like that, you can't purchase another company and compete against a company, and it's usually for a couple of years, especially if you're a current employee. But it would be nice now. What's that?
So could AEW buy them out and turn them into like not a NXT, but like a brother or a cousin?
No, what they would do is just liquefy the name of Ring of Honor, and they would want whoever buys the company. If they're already a present company, they're not going to have Ring of Honor. They're buying it solely for the effect of having the tape library.
Yes.
See, I disagree with you there, because I think if AEW did it, he would start cornering the market, because you could have AEW, Impact Wrestling, and Ring of Honor, three companies, the three kind of the indie darlings, as you want to call it, I would say, that could go toe-to-toe with each other.
Impact.
That could do their stuff. But I think Tony Khan could buy AEW, build it up, and it would be and leave it, because a guy like Cody Rhodes could walk on Ring of Honor television and be the biggest heel there.
Ring of Honor owns the All-In. Ring of Honor owns the All-In video.
Yes,
and that's what was what started AEW. That's a valuable piece for Tony Khan to want.
It is. That's why That's why I believe the WWE is going to be the people that come up with the money.
I agree with that. Just to screw over Khan.
And that's why I'm saying, if the WWE was to buy that, I could see Vince saying to Triple H, if you want to have something now, here you go. And it goes out on his own. I can see it happening. I can really see it happening. Or I can see Triple H just getting pissed, man. What's there to be of just getting pissed and saying, listen, I've had enough is enough. I've put my own professional career to the burner. I retired. Who's to say there wasn't hidden innuendos and stipulations conducted backstage between Vince and Triple H that by this time Triple H was supposed to have quote unquote control up to a certain extent, but yet the old boys like Pritchard and Dunn and these guys have still got a hold on it and essentially pushing Triple H to the back burner.
I'm telling you, that's what I think is happening.
Let's just face it. Triple H, for 3 years or more, has invested all his time. Been 5 years, actually. Has invested all his time into NXT. Why can't he just say, Steph, we're married, I love you, but your father, I just can't deal with this no more. I got millions on my own. I got people that are willing because they know I got millions that they're going to throw up millions. And I'm buying Ring of Honor with them. I don't understand. I don't understand why that is not why it's not a viable option.
Because it is if he didn't have a no compete clause.
No.
I guarantee you at that level of corporation, there's no compete clauses. He can't buy another company. He wouldn't be able to leave the WWE and walk on AEW. He can't. I don't think he can buy a company that would be able to quote unquote compete with WWE or its talent per se.
Jay, who told you that Ring of Honor was selling the name in the library?
I read it somewhere that they would like to keep it all together as one because it's in hopes of bringing back what they had for rostered talent.
So we all know that Malonis works for Ring of Honor.
Yes.
So that's not true. They're listening, but they're not looking to sell. Just like
they're selling their library. Their library is up for sale. I didn't hear about
Yes, I know their library is up for sale, but
it's not. That's what I'm telling you. It's not.
See, I've heard it is up for sale.
I heard their library is up for sale. Okay. And also in that same article that I read, and like I said, it's online. So how much can you realistically trust?
Exactly.
What I read online is that they would be willing to sit and listen about selling everything because that would mean that the entities that they had, the wrestling talent they had, would get their jobs back per se.
Well, that's part of the problem is so guys like Malonis, there's a whole group, all their contracts go null and void on January 1. Then there's a secondary group whose contracts go null and void. I think it's March 30th. So no matter what, the contracts are going null and void. Now, I think that would be part of any deal. And I think, no matter what, if somebody were to buy it and say, keep it going, the problem is the TV deal doesn't go with the sale. TV deal's done. It's over.
Well,
that TV deal,
nothing, right?
That was their syndication. Was nested.
Yeah.
Ring of Honor was on Vice TV.
That's what it was. Vice, yes.
Yeah. Well, MLW is on Vice TV now. I watched one of the shows.
Impact's on what? Destination, right?
No, Access.
Oh, that's what it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So
you're muted, Jay. I can't hear you.
Mark Cuban's network. Axe Network.
Yeah.
I think
that's TNA.
I think if Tony Khan was smart, he would attempt to buy Ring of Honor and the library all at one and put somebody in charge and say, here you go, or fund it and say, here, stop the company. Like, keep it going. And now you have 3 companies technically that can all work with each other.
Do you ever think that we're all giving Tony Khan too much credit for being some smart individual instead of a guy that happened to have a lot of money that fell into the wrestling business at the right place and right time, Capelli?
It's not Tony Khan. I take that back. I should say Shad Khan buys the company because Shad Khan is the one who actually has the money.
Yes.
Well, TNA and AEW's
working agreement is done. Ended last week.
And their New Japan is up at the end of the month.
Yep. Now.
Yeah. And those are deals that can get re-signed, though. That's what I'm saying. I mean, you can renegotiate and re-sign deals.
Yeah, you can.
If you really want to give WWE eventually a true run for their money and say kind of rebuild. If you want to be the companies that said we rebuilt wrestling, back to its, ultimate glory.
The problem with that right now is that AEW, nobody watches their online stuff. Nobody watches YouTube, Elevation, Darkcast. Like, nobody watches that.
Nobody watches Rampage either.
Okay? their numbers are continuously going down on Wednesdays and Friday nights. So, and they continuously sign more and more talent. The problem is the more talent you sign and you already have talent, and then you're doing these working endeavors, you're never realistically going to get into the storylines for a long time. Or you're going to make these entities that signed with you want to leave the company because all in all, they're facing the same problems that they faced with the WWE, sleeping and catering. You know that I mean, that's the way I think of it.
Well, understand. Here's part of the reason why I'm gonna point out. Like, Rampage is on at 10 o'clock at night. Nobody's watching professional wrestling at 10 o'clock at night when you can watch it at 8 o'clock at night from 8 to 10. But I'll say this much: when I see the promo between fucking CM Punk and what's his name,
that just twisted Jay.
Huh?
That just twisted Jay right there.
I'll say this. It was a great promo. It was the best part of Friday Night Rampage. That and the kid's rap when he busted on Daniel Bryan saying his father-in-law fires everybody. Like, that was great. Don't get me wrong. But there's a reason why there's a reason why they're on Friday nights at 10 o'clock, because nobody wants to give out a time slot at 8 or 9 o'clock on a Friday night.
No. The problem is they're trying to grow too fast. They should concentrate on one show, on one night a week. Make it 3 hours if you want to if you need more time, make it a 3-hour show, but it should be one show, one night a week. For now. They're not. I think that's one of their biggest problems. They're going too much.
Then how can they sign all this talent? How do they? You know what I mean? Like, they keep on wanting to sign people. Now, Bray Wyatt's still out there. Where do you put Bray Wyatt? Where do you put any of these people like Mia Yim or a Amber Moon or
Keith Lee?
You're not going to sign all of them.
Lee. Well, they can't. They had
I didn't say they were going to.
No, I know that, but what I'm just saying is that's even more added to if they have a talent exchange.
If they signed everybody, then they're going to end up having the same problem that Vince is having right now: too much talent, not enough TV time.
Yep, and there's not enough house shows to put these guys out there in dark matches.
I read an article that Bray Wyatt's going to start doing horror films instead of wrestling.
That's his side project. He's been talking about that was his other project. He wants to get into doing film too. Yes, I heard he's still going to wrestle. That it's all but written. But yes, I heard that too, Mike. I heard
this. It was right before I went on. I got a message through one of these links that supposedly he's talking with GCW.
Really?
Yep.
What about GCW buying our Ring of Honor?
I think GCW has a good brand of their own right now. That why would they even want to think about? You know what I mean? I think they got a good brand all on their own right now. GCW, Game Changer Wrestling, without a doubt, is the top independent wrestling promotion out there right now.
Or what about XPW?
You need to get slapped for making that comment.
I'm telling you, I'll have Dave Marquez on in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to talk XPW.
Hey, I'll say this much. If there was ever a need for an ECW, once again, that type of a company, it's now.
Yep, I agree with that 100%.
That's why GCW is over.
So I'm going to be going mobile here in a few minutes, guys. So if I lose you guys, I'll try to get back on. But I'm going to be running mobile in a few minutes.
No problem.
Not allowed.
But I do need to tell you guys this, just in case I'm not able to get back on if I get knocked off. next week, scheduled, and I confirmed it this morning. Next week supposed to be ECW alumni. This yeah, what's his name? The Baldy Angel supposed to
Oh,
be on next
cool.
week.
Awesome.
So
Excellent.
I confirmed it with him this morning. He was originally going to be on with us today, but something came up, so we rescheduled it for next week.
Awesome.
So he's scheduled. He's in the lineup, and I'm working on some more for us. Jason, I got one that I need to talk with you about offline, so the show doesn't hear what's going on yet.
All right.
So should be interesting.
Cool, man. What about the quintessential stud muffin? Has Joel Gertner got back to you?
He's gotten back to me. We're waiting for him to get his schedule. He's got some stuff going on a personal level.
Yeah.
But we're looking at probably the end of November, beginning of December.
Cool, man.
So
cool. All right. So there was.
So did you guys read that Sabu retired from professional wrestling?
Yes, I
Yes,
did.
yeah, I did read that.
I don't think it's more of his wrestling and his shape. I think ever since he lost Melissa there, I don't think it's
Melissa.
the same.
Yeah, it's hit him hard, man. Terry's another one. I'd love to have him on. I got to reach out to him. Good friends. Great guy. I think he'd come on if I reached out to him.
That'd be cool.
You know, I'd love to talk to too. Maybe we get on the show sometime if we can. As a kid like Brian, I'd love to hear what he would have to say. You know, what's the perspective like for him? You know, here's a kid that had a contract at in a promotion and is, ultimately now the kid's starting fresh. You know, it'd be nice to hear what he has to say too. Kid like him, if we ever could.
I can ask him.
Who's this?
Malonis.
Oh yes, would love to have Malonis on.
I'll ask him.
I'd love. I think people would love to hear the mindset of a wrestler, someone who's actively, at that level, and here he is. Like, what are you doing? Like, what do you do now? Where do you go? How do you go about getting yourself, back into the forefront of a company? Do you reach? Do you talk to an AEW? Do you reach out to Impact? Do you reach out to GCW or whatever it is? You know what I mean? It'd be nice to hear from him. See where his head's at.
Yeah. I agree.
I'll reach out this week. I'll reach out to him.
I agree.
Come on.
Yeah. What'd you guys think of Raw this week?
Thought it sucked.
I thought there were a couple great matches. That Damian Priest, Dijakovic, or what's his name?
He's going heel. Priest is going to go heel real soon.
Yeah.
So isn't it Dominic Mysterio?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
See, interesting stories. These stories are interesting.
I don't think that there's any. I think Raw has picked it up in the past few weeks. It's just not edgy. But I think the match quality's been good.
They just announced the teams to represent SmackDown and Raw for Survivor Series, and Dominic is part of Team Raw. And I have a feeling what's going to happen is this is where they're going to do the angle where he turns on his father, turns on the whole roster of Raw, and jumps over to SmackDown.
Big Show. It's already been done with the Big Show.
I don't know. To me, that's what happened to the gimmick where you build the team and all that shit. That's just I thought Raw was. I thought it sucked. I mean, I was happy with the Damian Priest match, but I think overall the storytelling was garbage.
Well,
the only thing I did like,
you're going to see T-Bar lose that whole persona, go back to Dijak.
Oh, fucking that!
He's got to get rid of the face paint. I think
he's been teasing it on Twitter.
And then like the end, is it Kevin Owens turning heel? Are you teasing a Big E turning heel? The way that happened, it was like, there was nothing. There was nothing to it.
I know a lot of you guys aren't big on Twitter, but what kind of baffled me about going back to the Cross release, He immediately shot a promo video.
He did what?
He immediately shot a promo video.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was
what doing what?
It's in a cemetery, and then his old carrying cross.
Oh yes, you're right. You're right. He did. That's right.
And his old carrying cross, not killer cross, but carrying cross symbol popped up on the screen. So are they releasing them and repackaging them and bringing them back? What are they doing? It just didn't make any sense for him to get released, and then 2 days later he's cutting a video, making a promo.
What if some of these people really were cuts due to not wanting to get the jab of the needle, so to speak?
That's what some of the rumors are. Some people didn't want it. Some people are not vaccinated, and that's something they're saying that's the reason why they got released.
Especially if they're people that they want to do storylines with, and they're going to states that require that people in those buildings need to have vaccinations. One state is New York that requires that.
Yeah.
Hey, but what if they're immunized like Aaron Rodgers? Kidding.
I knew that was coming.
What did you think? Go on.
No, go ahead, Jay.
What did you think of AEW Dynamite this week?
It was hard to watch. The whole gym and Punk down your throat every week. I mean, his promo about Moxley, all right.
Yeah.
A shot on that one. But every week he's got to come out and say something.
Well, the more they feed MJF down your throat, the more I like it. He's great. I like it.
Listen, I said it last week. He's starting to grow on me, but the rest of it was hard to watch. It really, for me, it was at least.
Yeah, I have to agree. I have to agree with that 100%.
I mean,
the better thing, I think the best thing of AEW was the Punk, and it was CM Punk versus Eddie Kingston promo. I mean, I know what you guys are saying, but I think there's a story to be written and told there, because they're going to start turning CM Punk into like what Eddie Kingston said, and it was just priceless. It was awesome, I thought.
Listen, I thought that was a great promo from Rampage. I thought Rampage was probably the better program. I thought the Daniel Bryan versus the young dude was like. I thought that versus the Acclaimed guy was a great one. I thought the rap song from the Acclaimed kid coming down to the ring generated great heat. But I'm gonna say this: I don't believe that Dynamite was as good. I'm gonna say this too. I don't think Adam Cole wrestles as good in AEW as he did on NXT.
Nope.
Huh.
Not at all.
Nope.
Let's say it right here and now.
Two different wrestlers right now.
His ring positioning and the things he does are very WWE-esque because of the training, but his matches, they're not as entertaining as they were in the WWE.
It all depends on who you work with.
Yep.
And so
we're also talking about somebody who hasn't wrestled in 7 years, so I don't know if he doesn't have.
We're talking about Adam Cole.
I'm talking about Adam Cole.
Oh, Adam Cole. I'm sorry. I had missed part of it. Laney was talking to me. Yeah, no, his matches are not as good as they were in NXT. I agree.
I don't think. Yes.
A lot. Not saying not anybody on this panel right now, but somebody who left the panel said that CM Punk was the needle mover for AEW, and I don't think that's the case at all, to be honest with you.
I think Daniel Bryan, when push comes to shove, Daniel Bryan will be the needle mover that came.
I agree with that.
I disagree with you both. The needle mover is up and coming, and his name's MJF. That will be your needle mover.
But he didn't come from the WWE.
Right. But I'm just saying, in general, MJF is going to be the guy.
Capelli down the road. MJF is going to be the flag bearer. I don't disagree with it. I'm talking free agent acquisition as far as WWE ex WWE personas counted. I believe it wasn't CM Punk. I believe that when it all comes to fruition, Daniel Bryan's going to be the key acquisition that came from the WWE.
Either that or Black, because I think Black's doing a tremendous job right now.
Yeah. And Andrade's is finally getting his due just.
You know what? Here's going to be two things. If Charlotte Flair gets out of the contract, people are going to say it's going to be her. If she eventually leaves and goes there, I disagree. I will say this. I know some of you are going to disagree. I think Jimmy Fingers would agree. I do think if Bray Wyatt or Wyndham goes to AEW, he will definitively be maybe not the sole needle pusher, but he will be one of them that is the needle pusher.
I agree because he goes right into the Dark Order.
That's if he goes. Do you know what I mean? Who knows? At this point, he could end up in Impact.
Yeah. I mean, I do think he goes there. I think they're crazy not to. I think they realize how his potential. I mean, we'll see.
We'll find out next Saturday.
Oh, you're thinking he shows up at the pay-per-view, huh?
But remember, they don't want
shows up Wednesday. Either one.
We're not supposed to have surprises in AEW, remember?
Well, it's been dead talk about him going to AEW as far as AEW is concerned. They haven't said shit. And they made a big stink about it when they're bringing in Daniel Bryan and Punk. So
the latest I saw was a tweet that he put out. And I love people who do these very close investigative reporting on their own, and they're not reporters. And they circled the three first lines in his tweet, and it was WWE. And I just thought that was funny.
Then somebody circled AEW, the second letter. So it was stupid.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right, I do want to talk about what I thought was I think is going to be the coming of Xavier Woods.
Yes. He's getting his due just right now, and he deserves it. Because
I talked about this on the last podcast I was on. Either Kofi or Xavier. You guys thought Xavier's going to turn heel, and the culmination is going to come at the Royal Rumble, I think.
Now, see, now I disagree. I agreed up until what I saw. Now I think it's going to be the feud. It's going to be Roman Reigns feuding with Xavier Woods for a while, and that's the holdover feud for Roman Reigns until he gets to WrestleMania. That's who Roman Reigns will be feuding with up until probably the February pay-per-view. I don't see the heel turn. I don't see it now. I did last week. I don't see it now.
It should happen, though. I think it should happen.
Well, I'd rather see Woods feud with Reigns than McIntyre, to be honest with you.
Oh, God, yes, please, thank you.
I think Woods is a better worker than McIntyre. He's actually, out of the three of the New Day, he's the better worker.
Agreed. Although Big E's been, week by week, he's been proving himself that he's a legitimate champion.
I agree with that, but I still have to say Woods is better.
I think Big E, as much as I like Big E, he's not the guy that's going to carry Raw.
I agree 100% with that.
Just not the guy.
No.
He's not meant to carry Raw. He just doesn't have.
Let's touch on Kevin Owens' promo.
All right, let's do it.
So he mentioned 3 months, and he finished a promo with 3 years. So who thinks he resigned?
Not me.
I'll say it like this. I think anybody whose contract is coming up sees the same thing I do. Going over to AEW,
You're gonna get lost.
you're going to get lost. You're going to end up in catering. At least Kevin Owens is on television.
I think he resigned. I think he did. Now, whether Kyle O'Reilly resigns is a different story.
No, but I also heard Kyle O'Reilly and Johnny Gargano will go up to the main roster, and they're going to SmackDown. That they both received dark matches tonight.
Wait, Johnny Gargano is going to be starting a new feud with Tommaso. He ain't going to the main roster. They're going to rekindle their feud.
Okay.
I hope they do, because those are some great matches.
Just telling you what I read. Like I said, I just read it. I read that they were getting dark matches tonight. I read that they were going to see what goes on, and because their contracts are coming up for renewal, that's what they were going to do with them. Whether or not they're doing that with them, I don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I hear you. I don't think so. I think they already teased it on NXT too.
Yeah, I seen that when Tommaso and then Gargano comes out, gave him that look, like, I seen it.
Yep. What did scare me though, and I'll tell you, is that when I heard that statement and they said that every 6 months the plan is to release people from NXT and bring in fresh faces. Something tells me that part of me feels that there's a legitimate side to that statement, and that's not a good statement, because that tells me that you can start falling in love with these characters and they're never really going to build somebody like a kid like Dexter Loomis. I love the gimmick, but I can see them saying, "All right, Dexter, yeah, okay, yeah, we're fun with you. We're going to release you."
And then I don't know. This way, who's the kid there that Carmelo Hayes beat in the finals?
Odyssey.
There you go. That guy is what they want Keith Lee to be. Odyssey Jones.
Odyssey Jones has much more charisma than Keith Lee.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
And he can speak on the mic. That's the expendability.
Well, that's why I said earlier. That's why Keith Lee is not employed, because at the end of the day, he just doesn't have the it factor. He can wrestle like a motherfucker.
You seen what I put up there about what that website wrote, or the Twitter was, that essentially they can get the same thing out of that Duke Johnson and I forget who the other person was. They get the same value out of those two guys that they would Karrion Kross and Keith Lee, just because of where their stature is on the card. And it all has to do with the WWE has a foresight right now for the next 2 years on the main roster, that they believe they have 4 to 6 guys that can be booked as the top guys, and they have a plethora of up to 50 guys that they can use for mid-card talent.
All I know is in 6 months, if they go through the releases again, Charlotte Flair's name better be on that.
I hope so, man.
I can't stand her. And I'm going to tell you something. If anybody else did what she did, they would have been fired the next day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but did you guys hear the same thing I heard? I don't know if you heard it, but I'll tell you what I heard was, I guess the reason why she's not being, quote unquote, punished severely is because if they punished her, there are others who would be punished just as bad for the shit that they've been pulling in the back. Now, who that means, I don't know.
No.
But hey, guys, I'm gonna have to cut this short and say goodnight, because I'm gonna lose you here shortly. But before I go, did you guys happen to hear about the legend in Massachusetts that passed away today?
No, I did not.
Angelo King Kong Mosca passed away today.
Oh, sad to hear that. I did not know Mosca lived in Massachusetts.
He was born in Waltham, Massachusetts.
Interesting. I do know that he was a Mass resident. I just thought that he lived up in the beloved Hamilton, Ontario area, where he is a Hall of Fame CFL lineman for the Hamilton Tiger Cats of the Canadian Football League.
Yep, born February 13th, 1937, Waltham, Massachusetts. He passed away today of Alzheimer's, and he was 84 years old.
Yep, he is in the Ring of Fame for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I'm a huge Canadian Football League fan. And, yep, Angelo King Kong Mosca, one of the greatest offensive linemen in the Hamilton Tiger Cats history.
Speaking of Hall of Fames, you heard that New England Hall of Fame's making a comeback, huh?
No, I did not.
Yeah, it's all over. He's been posting it on Facebook.
I just going into it now.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't. I did not read that. I read about the fan fest that was being held, and when is he plan on inducting a new class? 2022, this upcoming summer.
Yeah, it's just say he's going to make announcements in December.
Well, I'll have to put him.
You think you're going to be on that list?
What?
You think you're going to be on that list?
Probably not.
I am a Hall of Famer, and I will.
You're not the only one that's going to write a letter. A few other people have already told me they're writing letters.
I wouldn't even write a letter. I'd get in touch with Bruin right on Facebook Messenger.
There you go.
And be like, Joe, but 2014 inductee, and he's gotten in touch with me before to ask me about worthiness. One of them was Big Daddy, and I told him Big Daddy, yes, without a doubt. And then I'm pretty sure that Trooper was getting inducted.
In 2021, yeah.
Yeah, and then COVID came into play.
Yeah.
So, but that's cool. That's good to know. Good to know. So, yeah, I thought it was a great week of wrestling myself. I watched bits and pieces from what I've seen. I was entertained. The ending of SmackDown, I did not get to see, but what?
It was great.
Fill us in, please.
So, obviously, Xavier Woods wins. And, ultimately, the gimmick was great. I thought, hey, if you win, I acknowledge him as the tribal chief. But if I win, you bend the knee. And I thought it was a great fucking gimmick. And then, obviously, Jimmy lost. What's-his-face wins. And just as he's about to bend the knee, fucking Roman come in and said, no way, we don't bend the fucking knee. They beat the shit out of him. They beat the shit out of Kofi, really kind of making Xavier the quote unquote, the protagonist, you know what I mean, of the story, rather than say, Kofi, like the focus is going to be Xavier. And it was well done, Roman did the whole, who lost? Like the gimmick was great from the start. Like, hey, wise man, who lost that? Hey, wise man, who lost? It was awesome, I thought.
So I'm gathering right now that still after the draft that SmackDown is the better show.
SmackDown is the better show. It is a better show.
Because they have real writers writing it.
Writers that know wrestling. Pretty much. And Paul Heyman.
SmackDown's the good show because they have a guy like Paul Heyman in the back overseeing things, saying, hey, I don't know about that. That's, at the end of the day,
exactly.
Paul Heyman's influence is all over SmackDown.
Well, we'll see what happens.
Whether he's a writer or not.
So do you think that Triple H will have that same type of effect on Raw when he makes his
I do not believe that I do not believe that Triple H is going to have the power that people think he is. I just don't believe it. Because I think if that was the case, you wouldn't see NXT where it is right now.
But then that's the case that if that was the case, you would have seen there was 2 matches that stood out to me most on Halloween Havoc, and both will win with like Carmelo Hayes in a real world. If Vince McMahon was right, it would have never beaten Odyssey Jones.
Nope.
Agreed.
Never in a million years. And you know that, Cabelli, because Vince called all these small guys midgets. I do know
I
this.
agree. I agree.
That on SmackDown, I thought it was awesome when Ricochet came out and just bitch smacked Drew McIntyre.
Yep.
I did see
but of
that.
Course, what would have been better is if they let Drew lose.
Yeah, but they didn't.
No, of course they didn't.
Like guys like Ricochet, that my son loved him. That WrestleMania a couple years back where they built like the superhero suit for him, that he came out in that one piece, like that figure was one of the top all-time selling figures in WWE WrestleMania series. I know. I had to buy it for my kid. You know, he's another one that I believe Vince drops the ball on hugely. Listen, Vince, let's just face it. The smaller guy, Vince drops the ball on.
It's far and few
Vince
between.
Doesn't believe in the smaller guy.
It's far and few between that he puts his faith in a smaller guy. One was Eddie Guerrero. The other one was Daniel Bryan.
And Chris Benoit.
And Benoit, yeah. In Jericho. But other than that,
love for Owen Hart. Owen Hart was technically a smaller guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Technically, I say.
Technically, the smaller guys became, if you watch the Dark Side of the Ring, the smaller guys, to them was when Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart started to get the pushes in the main card.
That's right.
So to Vince, those are small guys.
That's true. Exactly.
So yeah, that was a good one. Anybody catch that Dark Side of the Ring?
Which one was that?
I did not.
That was the last one of the year, the steroid scandal.
I had not had a chance to watch it yet.
No, I didn't see it.
The only thing that makes it interesting is the fact that Vince's lawyer throughout the whole thing is in it. It's kind of lousy that they can't get a point of view from the Jarrett family, because the Jarrett family was the family that was in line that if Vince had went to jail, it would have been run by Jerry Jarrett. So it would have been nice to at least get that insight. Yeah.
What do you think
Jerry
the dynamics
Jarrett
would have changed?
Yes. Let's not forget now, Mike, is during them times they was in bed with Smoky Mountain and all them southern territories. That was at the peak of when Vince truly started to buy up the last of the territories. So people like Jarrett and Cornette were hugely influential in the backstage persona of WWE. And yep, Jerry Jarrett was going to be the Vince McMahon if Vince had went to jail. Would have gotten control of the company.
Just imagine how the dynamics would have changed.
To tell you the truth, I don't think it would have
totally
changed.
different today.
I think Vince, if anything, would have been out in 5 to 7, and I don't think it would have had that time to change realistically. Or who knows? Could the Attitude Era really have happened? So yeah, right there, things could have possibly changed, and we might not have had the Attitude Era. Well, who knows? Vince could have came out of jail and was struggling, and the WWE could have been the company that went under.
Or he could have ran it from jail.
Yep. So next Saturday night, we have the AEW pay-per-view. I'm thinking Friday night we go live.
That works because I'm wrestling Saturday. So
okay, Friday night we'll go live instead. So Friday night, 8 p.m. Any of you boys got anything you want to touch on before we go off the air?
Nope.
I'll just say something.
So I'll reschedule Angel then for Friday if I can.
If you can, that would be great. Because I want to be able to watch the AEW pay-per-view, and if we got shut off the air the last time we did a live pay-per-view watch-along.
Were you broadcasting it?
At one point we did, and then we went back on. And then when we went back on, and we were just talking about it, a half hour later, they turned us back off again. We were given live, up-to-date information. So, yeah, we'll just pick the Friday night, my man. Pelly, go ahead. Tell us what's up in your hand there.
It's my second book published. Got the books there yesterday or the other day. 42 of them. About a game to determine who gets the soul of the universe. Science fiction mixed with sport and Star Wars. If you're interested, go to Amazon Books. Type in my name and it'll come up. You can get it on Kindle, soft paperback, and hardcover. Be a great read.
How much is your book worth?
You get this. You can get for $15.99 Canadian. I don't know if this is American. The Kindle's $8.99 American, and the hardcover's around $30 American.
There you go. Will you ever have it in the form for idiots like me that you read it and I get to hear it?
I'll look into that, Mr. Rumble.
Books on tape.
Yes, that's what I need. Almost like listening to a storied podcast. That's
I'll get that figured out, Jason.
That would be awesome.
I'll narrate it for you, Pelly.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Send him the book for free, and he'll read it.
I'll narrate it. I'll put it
Spirit
on
Dark
MP3.
Angel.
I'll put it on MP3 for you.
There you
All
go,
right.
Kelly.
Okay. Let me get your address, Mickey.
I'll send you my address.
Or if you want to order it, or it's all up to you. If you want me to get your address, I'll send it to you. You just want to order it off of Amazon.
I'll message you my address.
Okay,
if it's
cool.
free, hey, Pelly, if it's free, it's for Mickey.
That's it. There you go.
Yeah, send me your address. I'll put it in the mail for you.
How can you not? You got a guy that's willing to read the book, put it on MP3 file, and then you got a whole nother way that you can sell your book.
Yep.
There you go. Cool. I thought, yeah, perfect. Awesome. Yeah, I'll have it in the mail for you by the end of the week. Just send me your mailing address.
Think about how many more books you'll sell for dummies like me that really can't read and comprehend, but can listen and comprehend the story.
Okay, boy.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Jesus Christ. The fucking book, read it, you motherfucker. Hey, do they have pop-up pictures that I can play with? I like pop-up books.
I'd rather watch the movie than read the book.
Exactly.
God.
Sorry.
We should get Super Gilmore to read it to you.
No. No.
That'd go over like a spot in church.
I'm good with that. So, all right, fellas. I think that's good. Friday night, 8 p.m., Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. I'd like to thank my panel for coming on, as always, Mr. Mickey Biggs, my producer, Mr. Adam Jack Pelly, Mr. APOC himself, the stiffest man in independent professional wrestling, Stiff Mike, and the man who knows it all. And he really does. A guy that, when I really do want a level-headed opinion on professional wrestling, I truly do reach out to this guy. I do bust his balls. There's a reason why I call him Vincent Mick Capelli, because because he's the man that knows he's the man that knows the plan. So
I just call him Gazoo because he's got a big head.
it's all that knowledge.
It's all that space.
Oh,
Listen there, BK.
Ah.
All right, I gotta go back
right,
to watching
fellas.
the Bruins fucking lose.
They lost.
They're losing.
No, that's because Pink Cat had a Bruins hat on earlier. That's why.
Oh Jesus!
That's why
They won the
fucking
other night.
shitty fingers.
What was it? 5-1 or 4-1?
Bergeron won. He scored
Yeah.
all 4 goals.
Bergeron won. Exactly. So, all right, boys.
All right, everyone. Watch it on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. From me to you, this is what you can do. Go Patriots! Woo!
Okay.
have a great night, everybody.